Creo que ahí ya está.
Mhm.
Ahí ya está. Okay. Okay. Hello, tutor and partners. Today I am with the teacher Julian Cardona. Yes,
Yes.
teacher.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
I want to ask you for interesting topic, language and culture, right?
Okay.
Um, the first question is, what do you think is the relationship between language and culture?
Mhm. Well, thank you first. Well, at the very beginning, I think that the relationship is highly linked. Yeah, because I totally consider that everyone must use the culture as a means of transportation of the language, right? Because I mean, in the case of English, right? In the case of English, you need to understand people's cultures all over the world because everyone can speak English, right? Like almost in every country, there must be someone that speaks to you in English, and before you speak to that person in English, you need to know at least a bit about culture because you know in order to avoid offensive behavior, right?
Okay.
And, and behaviorism. Yeah. So I think that it is very important. Try to avoid offending a person just because of the culture, right?
Right.
So,
Okay,
this is
teacher.
why I think that people need to know about culture before teaching or learning a certain language, or through the way they're learning the language.
Okay, teacher, thank you. I wanna know what do you think? What is the influence of culture in the process of foreign languages process?
Okay, I say that I say that there is a big influence, yeah, because I mean in the case of English, you need to teach your students not only to speak English but also to but also them to understand how cultures how we live into a multicultural world, yeah, where everyone has its roots, yes, his or her roots, and that I'm sorry, and that we do need to understand people's culture. We need to understand, we need to know people's culture. Yeah, so the influence must be a lot while people are teaching the language or transmitting that knowledge to a person. I give the example of English, but it happens the same if you teach either if you teach French or German, any other
Yeah.
language. I totally consider that the influence is big.
Okay, thank you. Also, which cultural expressions do you know countries have through the language?
Well, I think that there are many expressions in English. Right? You know, I
Yes.
mean there are hundreds. I mean, for example, a new one that I learned recently was like "I'm game." Yeah, that people have in the United States that they say "I'm game." It means that they are on. They are in. Yeah, and
Okay.
once a friend said "I'm game," and I said, "What do you mean I'm game?" He said, "You say I'm game. I mean you mean I'm in." And as I didn't know that, I didn't know that, and it is something that I just learned about. So in the states, game, the way they call mate to friends, or in England. Oh, I learned a cultural experience I had with a person from Australia. It was that they call themselves Aussies, yeah, and even people call them Aussies, Australians. They don't call themselves as Australians. They call themselves as Aussies, and I didn't know that. And I learned that, and then
Mhm.
I also learned that they hate to be called us to be. They don't like the way people call their country. People say Australia. They say no, our country is called Australia. They say, no way. So then
No.
they call the country Australia and not Australia. and that is something I
So
believe.
so funny and interesting too.
Mhm.
Teacher, what do you think is important to have an oral tradition in a country? What do you think we teach language using culture, or we teach culture using language?
Okay, but those are two questions,
Okay.
right?
The first,
Okay. So the first question is about oral traditions, right? Okay, so
yes.
I will be answering the first question about oral traditions, and I think that it is very important because it's who we are, right? It's who we are, and that's what I always believe. I think that oral traditions are imperative, right? Because it's where we come from, and the place where we get the language we speak. So I totally agree with the fact that every country must have its own cultural traditions because um, people people adopt a language, yeah, from where they come from, right? So I think that's something people shouldn't change. I mean, I fight against the people who believe um, correcting the way it believes in correcting the way people speak or have certain accent towards a word, um,
Mm-hmm.
just because they believe that the language they're speaking is wrong, and then I say it is not the way they say it, right? Because it's just the way their culture adopted the language, especially in Latin America.
Yes.
Um, because we adopted the Spanish in most of the countries in Latin America. We adopted the Spanish, and then you can I mean, for example, the way Argentinians say callar, like callar, yeah. So and then you
Mm-hmm.
don't say callar, you say callar. That's not. I mean, that's their oral tradition. You cannot
Yeah.
change that. It's something they adopted. Spanish was not their first language, right?
Yeah.
It was
Right.
so I think that is very important. They have the Spanish the way they do just because they added Spanish to their modern language, which was not Spanish at first. So I could consider that every country has its own oral tradition, yeah, and they should keep that. They should keep. Yeah. That's what I.
Okay.
Second question.
Interesting.
Second question was
Yeah.
about if we teach English through.
Using culture, or do we teach culture using language?
I think we teach uh, I think we teach language using culture, right?
Using.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be because you need to teach people that all right, this is what you have to answer at the airport, yeah, but you have to
Mm-hmm.
keep in mind something. It depends on where you travel, right? Because, for example, if you go to Singapore, they will be asking you, all right, like personal information questions, questions you must answer. They will ask in English because English is the way we could communicate. People in Singapore, you speak their language. But some learn about Singapore, you cannot care help you. Can get help. You can go to prison, they will find you. Yeah. So something very important teaching English through music, right? Music is not just when the people dance, all right. Then I must teach as a teacher, I must uh, the culture of the and of course link the language with culture, and that's we need to.
Okay, teacher, thank you so much. Is all for today. I wanna thank you again. It's very important to listen your appreciation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, bye bye.
Good day. Bye bye.
Y ahí cómo lo guardo.